I bet you can save at least $300, if not more, on these strategies that have saved me thousands. Right now, we're saving up for a house, and so it made me want to revisit some of these really frugal habits, and I'm hoping that you guys will share yours with me. Stop guilt tipping. This is when you feel like you have to over tip 25%, 30%. You order a beer for 10 bucks and then you tip 10 bucks. Now, this is so hard to implement in reality that my fiance and I had to implement a policy that we stick to make sure that we don't guilt tip. Because we noticed that we would just over tip and then later on the way home be like, that person didn't do anything for us and it was terrible service, but yet we still felt obligated to tip 20% because that's the social norm. It's not our job to pay the wages of the person who's working. They're already getting paid wages. We are saying thanks for going above and beyond. When you get service, it is your choice and you are voluntarily putting more. I don't want to go home analyzing if what we left was too much. So now we have a strict guideline that we stick to depending on what we're ordering. Is it takeout or not? Is it just drinks? Is it food? Is it a nice restaurant? Do we have to cook it ourselves or do they bring it to us? Make sure to notice if you're tipping on tax. Sometimes on the bill, they'll calculate for you and say, you know, this is what 15% is, this many dollars. But when you look at the calculation, they're actually including everything, including food, drinks, and tax. And sometimes they even have a local cost of living or something extra for the employees in there. And then they calculate the tip on top of the total. This is up for you to decide. Do you want to tip on tax and those other items that aren't food? Arguably, you're tipping for service. And so it doesn't totally make sense to tip based on the amount that they have to pay the government for sales tax. In America, we have a tipping culture. And we all voluntarily tax ourselves an additional 15, 18, 20% and more, right? Today, when they flip the iPad around to you, often they're like excellent service, 22%, 25%, 30%.
We started our no guilt tipping policy after we got at the movies. We waited in line to buy popcorn and the clerk handed us a folded paper bag and then flipped the iPad around to us for a 20% tip. On $10 popcorn, that's $2 that we paid him out of guilt. And what did we get for it? We served ourselves popcorn out of the self-serve machine. We got our own napkins. We put butter on the popcorn ourselves. We even put our own credit card on the machine. He didn't even have to swipe it.
Choose a policy and stick to it. And that way it's fair to you and it's fair to them. And you can continue to stack towards your financial goals. Subscription services and streaming platforms. I am not going to say the usual here. I know all of us can benefit from going through last month's credit card bill and figuring out where all of these recurring payments are going out. What I want to share is something that I learned that was completely new to me, and so I hope it helps at least one person out there. But if you pay annually for your subscriptions, you can save a lot of money. So I'm going to use Spotify as an example. I went through my recurring monthly subscriptions and I was able to weed some out, but there were a couple that I could not give up. And one of those was Spotify. We play this game in the car where everyone gets to take turns picking a song and we all learn new music, and it's really easy to do it on that app for me. And so I went in trying to see what the best deal was, what I could figure out. And then they offered the annual subscription. And so first they knocked off a few bucks. Second, they said if you get the annual subscription, it costs less. And the whole reason I'd gone in there in the first place is because it was just about to go up $1. I got an email saying the price was going to go up. And so not only did the price come back down, but then when you divide it over the year, it was a few dollars less. So instead of $14.99 or $13.99, it was $9.99. On top of that, you can buy a Spotify gift card on Amazon. And so sometimes those are discounted. So you're getting a discount on top of a discount. And I love stacking. So there's a couple things that I learned. One, I got the reminder that when you try to cancel a subscription, they always offer you their best deal. So you might as well go in the best deal that is out there possibly for me. Setting calendar events to save money. What I love about this is you can title these calendar events whatever you want. So you can be as specific and motivational to yourself to remind yourself to do these saving events. Remind yourself when specific bills are due or important ones so that you remember to pay them on time and not get a late fee. I do this with utility bills. This is important for bills that you don't have set on auto. Another thing that I calendar immediately is when to cancel a subscription. So if I'm using a free trial version of something, I just signed up for Hulu, for instance, and they said 30 days free. And I signed up. As soon as I signed up, I put it a calendar event, remind me, cancel Hulu on this day. And of course, they offered the best deal ever, so I had to extend it and then put a new calendar event and send it to myself again. So I'll be canceling that in 3 months once this $3 deal goes away. Not only do you not want to pay late fees, but you don't want to have to go through the hassle of canceling after the fact and trying to claw back your money. It's way more of a headache to try to call the wine company and get them to cancel. There are consumer protection laws out there to protect all of us in case we are getting charged for a subscription that we canceled, something like that. But really, it's harder to go through the process to claw back that money than it is just to cancel on time. So cancel on time, make sure you get your email confirmation that you're canceled. Calendar events have helped me with this. Buying generic. There's certain brands that I always want to use and I won't get generic, but there are so many that I can't even tell a difference. Specifically, when you're at the grocery store, you'll know. I mean, when you compare, if you're not sacrificing quality, there is no harm in buying generic. Most of the time when you compare the items, they have the exact same ingredients in the exact same amounts. I know I'm not gonna buy Sudafed, I will get HEB brand Sudafed, right? So it's the cold medicine has the exact same ingredients inside of it, the exact same percentages. I've done the comparison to know that, and now it's just an easy grab when I go to the store. Sending in Amazon returns. A lot of us buy stuff on Amazon, which means that a lot of us return stuff on Amazon. And in certain categories, Amazon reports that it's like 40% of what's purchased gets returned. The way you can save money is by following through with actually returning the item that you intend to return. It might seem obvious, but I've been guilty of this myself. We go through the process of setting up the return and then don't actually follow through with taking the item to Whole Foods or UPS store or wherever to actually return it. You go through the process, get the label, and then don't take the item to the store or miss the deadline for the return. And so there's two reasons why you should follow through with this. First, you actually get your money back, so you're saving money there. Second, hopefully going through the hassle of coordinating the return, printing out the label, finding a box, whatever, driving to the store, doing all that drop-off stuff. Hopefully that will discourage you from wanting to do returns in the future, which hopefully in turn makes you want to buy less stuff on Amazon. So whenever I have to take stuff back to the store, I hate doing returns for that reason. It's really inconvenient. And so as a result, I buy less. Propagating plants. Plants ain't cheap, and especially not when you're buying them from the adorable plant shop on the main street, or even if you're buying them at Home Depot. I have the saddest story about these plants that I unfortunately was responsible for their very short lives. I just moved into a new apartment. I wanted to make the place look lively, and I'd never really taken care of a plant before. I ended up buying a ton of plants, like a car full of plants and small trees and all kinds of things. I even got a lemon tree, and I thought all of these would survive in my dim apartment. So long story short, all the plants died. It was really sad. Actually, just one of them survived. Her name is Rapunzel, and she made it here to Texas with us. From that experience, I learned it doesn't matter how much you spend on plants, they can still die. So you might as well learn how to take care of plants by propagating other people's plants. So if you're at someone else's house and you see a beautiful plant that they have, compliment them and ask them for a cutting. My sister gives me cuttings all the time. She has these beautiful plants and she shares with me, and she even sprouts them, like gets roots going for me. Over time, they grow into regular sized plants, right? I had pieces that I took from our backyard in our house and propagated them and carried them over to rental properties that we have that now have cute landscaping. Give propagation a chance. It is not hard. All you have to do is cut the plant, put it in some water, wait for it to sprout roots, stick it in the ground. Cell phone upgrades. So I remember the days of upgrading every single year. I'm an Android user, so it would be like Galaxy S9, S10, S11. Every year it was like the upgrade when I was with Sprint. And so ever since switching, I've had the same phone for years. Overall, the phone is so good and it totally works the exact same. There was no need to upgrade. Phones are like $800, $1,000, $1,500, depending on what kind of phone you get. And so it can really add up, especially if you're doing it every single year, and especially if you buy into the cell phone payment plans that the companies set up for you. Because not only do they want you to do the payment plan, they also want you to pay for the cell phone insurance and all these other add-ons. And on top of that, it's not just the phone, it's all the accessories that come with the phone, right? You have to get a new charger and a new case because the old one doesn't fit and all this stuff. One quick tip with the insurance plans that cell phone companies offer, what I noticed, at least the way that Sprint did it, they had you pay monthly for a new phone. So they said it was to be repaired or replaced, and there was a certain threshold, and it was right about at 6 months, where it would cost less for you to pay for it out of pocket than it would for you to continue paying the insurance plan. So I would encourage you to check out, if you're paying for cell phone insurance through your cell phone carrier, just calculate when does it stop making sense to pay for the insurance. Because for me, when I paid for a full year of insurance, I was paying more than the price of it if I just paid for a brand new phone out of pocket. Discount cell phone plans. I had so much doubt about these discount cell phone plans before I switched. I was worried about coverage and, quality and everything else. But I switched about 3 years ago and I haven't really noticed a difference. Most of the discount plans run on a larger carrier's network, and so you have the same coverage that you would. You just pay less. I first heard about this from my sister and brother-in-law, and they tried Visible. I ended up going with Mint Mobile, and it is like $25 or $30 a month. But we were all on the Sprint family plan, and then when we split, we chose our own carriers, and so I went from paying over $200 a month on the Sprint plan to paying $30 a month on the Mint plan. And I've taken calls and texts and sent photos from overseas. I've taken this phone to Africa, the Caribbean, Central America, Europe. No issues whatsoever. And if you want more data, you can just pay $10 and get more data for that one particular trip. Really, the only difference is that I'm saving $2,400 minus $2,100 a year. Hey, my phone's old, but it even has a calculator function. Freezing produce. This is relatively new for me this year, and I'm sure I've already saved at least $100 just on not throwing away salad. When you buy produce, especially organic produce, it goes bad really quickly. So I made a habit of freezing it in little bags as soon as I get home from the grocery store, except for the amount that I'm gonna use that week. That stays fresh in the fridge. But I don't throw away nearly as much gooey greens as I used to, which makes me feel better, not just financially, but emotionally as well. Double check your produce before you leave the grocery store. And yes, that required a clap on every single one. So the most annoying thing in the world is to buy $10 organic strawberries and then get home and there's mold in them. So sometimes just doing a quick check is not enough. Actually open it and check it, because one, you're not going to go to the grocery store and refund moldy vegetables. And even if you do, it's going to take a lot of time for you to do that and hassle. So save yourself the time and struggle and check that before you leave the store. Buy used. Specifically, I'm talking about furniture, home goods, items that you can't really tell that they're used, especially if they're in good condition, gently used, really clean. You wouldn't even know if it was used. I mean, everything in your house at this point is used, right? There is a section on Facebook called Facebook Marketplace. There's an app called OfferUp. There's Craigslist. There's all kinds of apps where you can buy used items. You don't have to negotiate, you don't have to do anything except for show up and take the item home. I really wish that I had known about these apps before I made a couple of large purchases, but had I not made those large purchases, I wouldn't have learned this very important lesson. With furniture, and I want to use this couch as an example, I got sucked into the trend of all this home renovation and jazzing up your space in your home office and stuff during COVID. And so I ordered this couch with the special storage compartment, and you get to choose your own fabric and what the legs look like. The couch cost $3,000, which is not the most you can pay for a couch, but also now that I know about Facebook Marketplace, I would never pay $3,000. I've seen the same brand couches show up on Facebook Marketplace, on OfferUp. Sometimes people have great quality stuff. They just have to move. They're going out of town, or they're downsizing. They don't have space for it anymore. They're clearing out a storage unit, or they're redesigning their house. I've seen couches that are designed within reach, West Elm, Interior Define, these super nice brands on Facebook Marketplace, and people are trying to get rid of them for hundreds of dollars, not the thousands of dollars that they paid for them. And at the end of the day, even if you're getting, let's say, a $5,000 couch for $2,500, that's a good deal too. You are saving money at the end of the day. I'm literally to the point that before I make any large purchase, I just check online to see if I can find it used before I can buy it. If it's something you're gonna buy anyway and you've already earmarked the money to spend on that item, see if you can shave it down and then save the rest for investment later. Don't skip the big stuff. What I noticed is when I'm hyper focused on making sure to use that 50-cent coupon at the grocery store, I can get distracted from the bigger things. And there are big items, like thousands of dollar items that you can be saving on versus the little stuff. For example, property taxes. Your property taxes are based on what the government thinks that your house is worth. So sometimes you have to alert them to the fact of what it's really worth. And it's as simple as going around your house and taking pictures and sending them the update. And I did this recently, this year with a new property, and it took maybe 30 minutes to go around and take all the pictures, and then another 30 minutes to upload everything online. And I ended up saving thousands of dollars on the annual tax bill. I plan to do the same thing again next year. Another example from my life this month is converting from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. I have been putting it off for so many months that it's embarrassing. Actually, I think it's been years. I finally put it in my calendar and just picked up the phone to start the conversion. And do you know how long it took? In real life, it actually took 6 minutes to get everything converted. And I know that one action saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run. So 70-year-old me will be thanking me for that decision. Working with a tax accountant to get the maximum deductions on your tax return. Getting interest lowered on your home mortgage because you're making more payments. Please watch my video on reducing your home mortgage over the long term if you want to know more about cutting interest payments. Another example is veterans benefits. If you served in the military, thank you for your service. And are you asking to use your veterans discount everywhere you go? Just last weekend, we went out to a museum with my mentor, and he was able to get all 4 of our admissions comped because he just asked the question, do you have military discount? He had his ID with him and we all got in. It was awesome. There are military discounts offered almost everywhere for veterans and active duty, and you probably know this, but if you're not asking the question, you might not be getting the benefit of all of that. You get 10% off at Home Depot, you get 10% off at Goodwill. And it's not just veteran discount, there's all kinds of categories that we all fit into where you just ask the question, is there a senior discount here? Sometimes senior discount, you only have to be 55 years old in order to get it. Even your car payment, that's a big expense. Are you paying a car note on a Bentley when a Chrysler 300 would be perfectly sufficient? Don't sleep on the big stuff. Don't skip over these $1,000 items. As they say, stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Do free stuff. There's unlimited free activities. Every time we travel to another city, I always look up free things to do, and a long list pops up, calendars pop up with unlimited events. For some reason, I wasn't doing this in my hometown. Instead of doing an activity that costs hundreds of dollars in one night, we can go on a picnic, go on a hike, walk historic sites, go to the places the tourists go. There's so many things that are offered for free. Speaking of free things that cost absolutely no money, please click the subscribe button below if you're finding any value to this video. I really appreciate it. When I was a young lawyer just starting my career in Los Angeles, I did a lot of things differently than my peers. Rather than choosing a fancy loft downtown next to the office, I chose this tiny studio apartment in Koreatown, and I ended up saving thousands of dollars a month. I kept the old Honda Accord that I had with the CD changer in it, and the nicest suit that I had, I got at the Camarillo outlets, and I had 2 that I would alternate whenever we needed to dress up for a board meeting or something corporate formal. I was making more money than I ever had in my life, but yet I still had these frugal habits. And don't get me wrong, I missed nothing. We enjoyed LA so much. Hollywood, we went out all the time, lived life to the fullest, and there was nothing that I missed. And when it was time to splurge, I would splurge. But also I was able to save up enough to invest. And at the same time, I was hearing my friends who were working in big law and earning these huge salaries talk about how they didn't have enough money left over at the end of the month, or that they didn't have enough money to save up for investing. I don't ever want to feel like we can't afford it on the big important stuff. And so saving on these little things helps keep things in perspective, to save in places where things just aren't that important, so that we have money for the really important stuff, like showing up for our family and saving for the future. Because of my habits, I was able to save up, and that ultimately led to flexibility. It allowed me to scale back time at my job, and it gave me the freedom to ultimately make the choice to leave because I saved up enough to invest, and investing ended up generating enough income for me. Basically, I just realized the dumb stuff I was wasting money on.
Now back to the money saving
Using
tips.
your credit card points, frequent flyer miles, gift cards, things like that. There is a psychology to wanting to amass points without actually using them. And I've seen this with frequent flyer miles, where I'm talking with people and they're proud of how many miles are in the account, but then they never use them to actually take a flight. It's like vacation days, or you're accruing all this vacation time but then never actually taking it. So the math on this is, if you're not actually using your points, you're using dollars to do those same things. For example, if you have a gift card for a store and then you keep forgetting to take it with you to the store, you end up using your own dollars. If you used the gift card, then you would have your money, right? Simple. I've done it so many times where I've gone to the store and I've forgotten the gift card or the store credit. I will seriously not buy something because I don't want to spend new money when I could be spending already spent money, right? That money's already spent. So it's sitting there in card form and you have to use it before something, happens to it. Try to use those first. Try to use up the money that's already spent first. Dining out and going out to bars. We are dining out fiends over here. We go out so much and eat out at restaurants and bars all the time. So we have learned a lot of ways to save money. Sometimes if the servings are huge, we'll share an entree. Sometimes we'll go out at lunch instead of at dinner because the lunch prices and the lunch menu, either they have a lunch option where you get a whole kit, like a bento box or something like that, and you get more food for your money. Some restaurants will even let you order a half portion of something. Cheesecake Factory comes to mind. The servings are like this big, but then you get a half portion and it's still way too much food. Go to happy hour. Happy hour is amazing. There's so many happy hour specials in every town. You just Google your town name and then happy hour, and all these deals are going to come up that you're going to wish you had known about sooner. I just found out, this is September 2024, and I just found out there's a $5 cheeseburger special and a $3 beer special. So that's really amazing for today's day of inflation. At bars, one quick tip that I learned is, if you're drinking whiskey and you're mixing it with anything, stop ordering top shelf. It's defeating the entire purpose. You can get well whiskey if you're just gonna mix it with Coke or something like that. And sometimes the difference between well and top shelf is double. Don't worry, you'll still get drunk. Using a shopping list. Even if you're just jotting down a few things before you go into the store, it is really helpful for me to have a shopping list before I go into the store, to make sure I'm not going down every single aisle looking for stuff to buy. It helps avoid impulse shopping. Another thing I do not do is I don't browse every single aisle. And I used to. Back in my shopping days, I did browse every aisle. It didn't matter what store. It was just kind of like something to do, or you're on the phone or whatever else. But the thing about browsing every aisle is that you'll find stuff to buy. And so you'll either find yourself in the dilemma of having to come back and return stuff, or you'll just over consume, which is so not helpful if those items are not valuable to you, they're not bringing you any enjoyment. Especially the case at the grocery store when these items are perishable and at some point they're gonna go bad. If you're not sure about a purchase, make a wish list. It can be on paper, or sometimes I even put stuff in the Amazon wish list category. What you'll notice is that once you put it in there, sometimes you forget about it, but other times it appears. So you put it out into the universe that you're looking for something specific, and suddenly a friend mentions, oh, I have that thing, you can have it or you can borrow it. This just happened to me with a post hole digger. I needed to dig post holes to put in the poles for a fence or a gate. And I was looking at the prices and checking it out, and then I realized, like, man, I'm gonna have to purchase this item, and no matter how reasonably priced it is, I'm only gonna use it once, and then it's just gonna take up space in the garage. But then I just put it out there, and I ended up being able to borrow one, use it once, and return it. So a wish list helps in that way, and it also helps to reduce the impulse purchase. I realize when I put it in there and I leave it in there for a while, I forget about it. Check Groupon before you buy stuff. You might have access to other websites that are kind of like this, but the concept is you can pay a discounted price for the exact same quality experience. I can't tell you how annoying it is when I go and pay full price for something and then later I see a Groupon for it. Groupon has a lot of options for discounted tickets to probably a lot of really fun stuff in your town. Don't get lost on the website and buy stuff that you don't need or that you didn't already have in mind to buy. But for instance, I was going to meet my sister and my niece at the zoo, and I was gonna have to pay for a full price admission ticket. I just opened Groupon. They're selling discounted tickets to the zoo. You can buy it right then and there, save a few bucks. Took no time. Fast food. I almost never eat fast food, but when I do, I'm getting a kid's meal. It satisfies the craving and it's enough. And it doesn't matter if there's no child under 10 present, I'm still getting a kid's meal. They let anyone order a kid's meal. Plus you get a toy. We all know fast food's bad for us, and we're in America, so serving sizes are like this big. So really all you need is a kid's meal, and that should tide you over until you can get home and eat real food. Who wants leftover fast food? No one. Check your receipts and your bills before you pay. It's happened too many times now where the bill comes out with something wrong on it. Either you're overcharged for an item or double charged for an item. Something's just typed in wrong, or you offer a discount and they don't apply it. So many times it's happened that I don't notice until I get home, that at this point I check every time before the credit card swipes. Make sure you know exactly that everything is as it should be and everything is fair. This is also the case at the store when you're buying items and they're doing the scanning. You know how much everything you bought was. If you're at a clothing store or the grocery store or shoe store or whatever, you know how much it was. So when it scans and it shows, the number shows up, just make sure that's the right number before you pay, because going back and figuring it out after the fact, not worth the trouble. Checking unit prices. When you're comparing two items, the price tag is not always indicative of the true price. So for instance, with Tide Pods, you're buying laundry detergent pods, and if you look and one carton is $20 and another carton is $25, you have to know how many pods are in each package, right? So the same for anything that you buy. When you're comparison shopping, make sure to look at the unit price, and it's right there on the price tag in the store. And if it's not, just calculate it yourself. And you'll know, okay, I'm buying Nespresso coffee pods. These are 80 cents each, and these are 35 cents each. Instead of looking at the entire sleeve of Nespresso pods. Because some sleeves have 8 pods and some sleeves have 12 pods. And a bonus tip, piggybacking on that, is don't buy toiletries from the dollar store. So the Dollar Tree now, it's like $1.25 for every item. And not every item is worth $1.25. For instance, toothpaste, baking soda, hand wash. These items are cheaper elsewhere, like at Walmart or at Target, because of the size of the item. So you'll notice that toothpaste at the dollar store is like travel size almost. You're not getting a regular size toothpaste for $1.25. In fact, I saw it somewhere that at Dollar Tree, unless it says plus or like added extra, bonus, then that's actually the normal size. Setting a goal. This one is really underestimated. I think it would be really easy for me to just set a goal like, don't go out to dinner this one night and then easily hit that goal. Or don't spend any money on Tuesday or a day where I'm not leaving the house, and stick to that goal. But really setting it, writing it down, saying it out loud, that makes everything achievable. Employee benefits. Ask your HR department, if you work for a mid-size or large company, ask them for the benefits that are available for employees. When I worked at a mid-sized company, they would give us discounts on whatever you're trying to buy. So travel, on flights, rental cars, hotel rooms, tickets to shows, concert tickets, things like that. And if you were gonna buy it online, it would just have a discount code, and it was a group code. If you've ever noticed this, you go to Hertz Rent-A-Car or something, and they say type in the corporate code or discount code. It's like that. So you type it in, you get your little discount. When you eat at home, you get more for your money. If I want grass-fed organic beef steak, I would rather make it at home because you get better quality than you would going to some steakhouses, and you're paying $30 instead of $100+. Travel souvenirs. I used to buy little trinkets, memorabilia from gift shops when I was traveling abroad, and over time I realized that people probably don't need this stuff or even want it. They're just happy to have you back, have you home safe, and they will probably go through your pictures with you and look at really cool stuff and talk about your trip and the experiences that you had. So the actual stuff itself may not be as memorable. Getting one or two items or something significant or something specific to the locale that you can't get anywhere else, I totally understand that. What I don't do is load up my suitcase and have to pay extra baggage fees to cart home a whole bunch of stuff. I recently went to Jackson, and when we went with the tour group, we went through a gift shop at Yellowstone, and I saw a couple really cute things that I wanted to get for my fiance. But instead of buying them, I took a picture of them and I showed it to him, and I'm sure he appreciated it much more because now we don't have the item in our house, and also we have the money that I didn't spend on that item. Pack snacks for the airport. First of all, you'll save not having to pay airport prices for airport food. It's just remembering to do it and take it with you, and remember to grab it out of the fridge before you leave the house. And the other thing is it's healthier, it's better for you. Just don't try and take a noodle soup through TSA like I did. I mean like a bag of nuts and trail mix. Put an Airtag in your luggage. If you already have Airtags, just drop one in your luggage when you travel if you check a bag. I'm learning about this right now firsthand. I wish I had put an Airtag or a tile in my checked luggage because I ended up losing emotionally significant stuff when we went to Africa over the holidays, and I'm not able to recover that bag. There was also money in the bag, which was really stupid. So this is actually a two-part bonus tip. One, do not put cash or any kind of currency in your checked bag. Don't be dumb like I was. And two, put a tile or a Airtag in your bag if you're going to check it, and then you always know where it is. You don't have to rely on the airline saying they're gonna recover your bag for you. Please share with me any other ideas you have about saving money in the comments below. I love saving money.